This is the Kryptonian taking a look at Bitcoin and the crypto market. Currently, Bitcoin is 26,144. 26,144. You can see that here. And you know, if you've been paying attention, that we've gone into a little bit of a rally here recently. Now, that being said, this is the 4 hour chart, by the way. Now, that being said, what's the reason? Why did we choose to bounce now? Why are we going into a rally now? This rally is a little bit stronger than what we've seen in the past here, but a little bit weaker than this one previously some time ago at the end of last month. So the question is, why now? Why now? Well, number one, we hit the $25,000 support line. This is previous support, price support that is from the chart, and so we did see a lot of buying into that area, just about to the probably almost to the dollar right here. This is the yellow line that I have marked out, that 24,950. Remember I said if we drop below that we would be in trouble and we would see probably a drop down into the golden pocket. We didn't see that yet, and you can see here that we are in an expansion, a bullish expansion, or a small little pump to the upside. And so this is showing that this momentum is real, but will it continue? That's the question. That is the question. Well, the reason for the pump, or the little push off of the 25,000 price point area, number one, it's because of the support, the price support on the chart. So that's a technical catalyst. However, also the CPI is showing an increase in inflation, and so this is why we're seeing Bitcoin benefiting from that, right? Because the view is that Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has a limited 21 million supply, and the vast majority of those coins have already been mined, have already been put into circulation. Now they're probably being held, the majority, 70 some percent, are being held, maybe even higher, maybe closer to 80%, are being held long term, and even some in short term hands by investors, right? They're already purchased and being held in wallets, but the vast majority are being held. The reason is because supply and demand tells you that once you have a limited supply and demand increases, price has to increase to adjust for the limited supply. And so that is why, just the laws of economics, the economic 101s, the law of supply and demand that pretty much runs everything, is telling you that Bitcoin is a natural hedge to inflation, right? Because fiat currency, you can continue to print, and you'll see inflation from that, because printing devalues the fiat currency. And the answer, or the flip side to that, is Bitcoin, where Bitcoin has a limited supply. So whenever demand goes up, the price has to rise to accommodate for that increased demand, right? So that being said, that is why we're seeing Bitcoin having a pump here. Now, is this pump going to be sufficient enough to reverse things? Well, it hasn't shown us that yet, right? So when looking at the stochastics, this is another tool that I created. This is a multi-time frame stochastic RSI, and you can see here on the 4 hour period we are maxed out at the top. So we're showing strength here, but we could run into a lower high here. That lower high, let's see, yeah, barely a lower high. That lower high could hint at a little bit of weakness in this move here. Again, we're still under the 200 moving average on the 4 hour, and so this is still a bearish posture, or a weak posture. That being said, like I said, we are in an expansion. We just have to see how far that will go. And when we look at the daily chart, you can see here we have this white line. This white line is the resistance line here, right? And like we've said before, we have this volume node where a lot of that trading volume has occurred above the price where we are now. So if we run into that, we could see um, some short selling there. And then of course we have the 50 and the 200 here, just above price, getting ready to create a death cross over. We're still under the 30. Now the 30 is a place of rejection before, and that's where the S1 has occurred. Now we don't see an S2, excuse me, we don't see a B1 yet. We had a B1 here, and now the last is a S1 here. So we're still waiting for a B1, which would be a preliminary early sign that a new trend like this is occurring. And we just don't see that yet. So that is something that we have to look for before we start getting excited thinking that we're going to go much higher here. Now we do see a small start of expansion on the daily, and that is because we're seeing that expansive move on the 4-hour on the 4-hour chart. So, but again, we have to be careful. I think short term we're probably going to have some type of a momentum shift to the downside a little bit. We really haven't taken out this previous high. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we still have a little ways to go to take out that previous high. And then after getting rejected, I want to see a higher low and then resumation, a resuming of the push impulse higher into that moving average area and also the upper resistance line. So I'm not really going to get too excited unless I start seeing more momentum to the upside. And the daily does show that we could have some of that on the stochastics, but most likely in the short term, we may have a little bit of a pullback happening on the 4-hour chart. So when we go back to the weekly chart, let's go ahead and change from the daily to the weekly here. You can see that we are starting a positive green candle for the week, right? So that's going to run us right into the moving averages. So, and this is not surprising because here we did see, I've said in previous videos, a lot of wicks to the downside showing that there was purchasing happening once we started putting pressure on that 25,000, 24,900 area. And so that was significant. And so now we're seeing a little bit of impulse to the upside. But remember, even on the weekly, the higher time frame chart, we're pushing up into resistance, right? So is this going to continue? Not really sure. We have to wait. If we close out this week with a green candle, this would be an engulfing. Not only that, we would have a nice long tail on the bottom. That would be a hammer candle, and so I would expect some more pressure pushing higher up into the upper resistance line. On the weekly, let's see. Okay, so this week, the resistance line coming in at 27,928. Next week, it would come in around 27,383, a little bit lower. Now, what we could see here, I'm going back to the 4-hour now. What we could see here, let's see here. Yeah, okay. So actually, let's go to the daily. Yeah, this is what I want. So what we could see here is we could see, remember I said that we could see a slow grind to meet the 200 daily moving average here. If we go sideways, that's going to pull the 200 down. And if we resist breaking down below that 24,900 level, when that 200 gets real close to price action, we could see a push higher and then a breakout, right? A sign of strength. But that's probably not going to come for quite some time. We still have the crossover to occur here of the death cross 200, the 50 over the 200 or below the 200, and we still have probably a little bit of a momentum continuation to the upside here on the daily, and then we have to see how price is going to react as we get into those moving averages and resistance. And then after that, we have to see if we pull back into a higher low. So we still have some time here. We could just grind out this area in a sideways fashion until the 250 move lower to where we're in striking distance, and then we can push above that and then slowly grind up into these higher areas. Now, point of control is still at 30,400 on the daily, so I don't think we're going to get bullish control for quite some time. That will change over time. The 4-hour is showing that the point of control is 26,056. If we hold on to 26,056, that will be bullish, and then we can continue higher. That would pretty much tell me that we would put more pressure on the 200 coming into the end of the week. That would be 26,696, roughly 27,000, right? So we'll have to wait and see what happens. The inflation increasing, like I said, is bullish for Bitcoin because Bitcoin has a limited supply, and that is perceived as something that is inflationary resistant. And I've just explained why, because of the laws of supply and demand, Economics 101. And so we'll have to wait and see how Bitcoin reacts. We're in the midpoint, mid area of September. September is usually, it's lackluster. It's either flat or it's, anywhere from 3-4% to 10-12% down. And we've seen out of the last 13 years, 10 of those years in September have been negative months. So I'm not expecting too much in September. We still have a few more weeks to go. But the longer that we hang on to this area above the 25,000, 24,900 area towards the end of September, coming out of September, going into October, we could see a potential breakout here, a potential attempt anyway of a breakout. But we have to deal with these moving averages. So, I think at best we'll probably push up into the 27, 27.5 area, and maybe even as high as 27.7, 27.8 over the next few weeks. Either that, or if we get really, really, if we get really weak, then we could probably test the 24,900 again, and then possibly break that. So I don't think there's going to be any significant upside for the next few weeks until we resolve the 200 moving average death cross and how the price is going to interact with that. So that will be happening, some days from now, and we're still under this resistance area. And although we're seeing a little bit of a reaction on the core inflation, the reality is we're still coming out of summer doldrums, and we are still in a downtrend, right? So a local downtrend. Okay. Now macro, long-term macro, multi-year macro, we are bullish, and we still maintain structure that is bullish unless we break that 24,900. That's where 24,900 comes in as being critical. Now we just had a very extreme RSI under 25 recently at the end of August, and that's why we're not really breaking down here. Although if you look at RSI is 46 right now on the daily. So we could actually break down. We've got enough resetting of the RSI indicator to see a breakdown into weakness and a retest of that 24,900. So that being said, EMA is bearish, DMA is bearish. We're still under an S1. S1 is a preliminary impulse, preliminary trend indicator, and it's to the downside. S1 negative. We did have the B1, but then we went directly into the S1 and we sold down pretty hard. Now we're moving up again. If we maintain this and do not sell off, we'll see another S1, and that's a potential move into another, uptrend, just like we saw here with that B1 signal. So I'm expecting over the next few days, if we do not sell off, we'll see a B1. And then the challenge there is how hard will we rally up into resistance? Will the bears actually be shorting and be stronger, or will we actually have some momentum to the upside and break above those moving averages and then have a breakout? That would be very, very bullish. Excuse me. That being said, we still have some additional information to come in this week. We do have the, let's see, hold on. Okay, that's core inflation and inflation year over year. We've discussed that. That has increased and gone up. Let's take a look. That's right. Next Tuesday, we have the Fed FOMC meeting, and then we'll see where interest rates stand at that time. With the increase in inflation, there is a possible quarter 0.25 increase on the table. However, I'm not really sure if they're going to take advantage of that or not. If that is the case, next week, Tuesday, if we see an increase, will probably contract from that and break this support eventually. That being said, Q1 would be the time where I think we're going to see a change in momentum and possibly into the end of this year. And I've said that before. Now, taking a look at the expansion contraction, the volatility mod, the tool that I've created, that's excellent. On the daily chart, we're seeing, like I said, a start of expansion to the upside. So we could have continued upside, although not immediately, because the 4-hour RSI stochastics has maxed out, although daily is just crossing midline. So I think we'll probably take a little bit of a breather and then push up on a daily basis, probably continue to push up here. Excuse me. We could see a day that we have a small pullback and then continue push to the upside. So right now the posture does favor the bulls to an impulse to the upside, but how far is the question. I've said that before. It may not be significant enough to change the structure of the downtrend that we're in now. Taking a look at the market is responding. We've got AVE up 1.7%, 1 inch up 3.4%. You can see Arweave up 2.2%. So the market's pretty much responding to this, but it could probably be, for right now, I'm considering this just a temporary day trading pump. And you see here CTI up 9%, or excuse me, 7%, 6.9%. And Filecoin 3.3%. So you're seeing a lot of these smaller coins, smaller projects. HBAR up 4%. They're the ones that are actually doing a little bit better than Bitcoin. Naka up 9%. That's gaming. Naka is pretty hot. Now it bears taking a look at here. Naka is right up in resistance right now. So I would say, if you're thinking of chasing Naka, if you're getting FOMO, I would not ever recommend that, because, of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give any recommendations, but Naka right now is at resistance. So this, in my opinion, is a terminal move. This is a terminal move at the end of a impulse higher. I do expect some type of a pullback from here. I do expect Naka to probably sell down a little bit. We see that the daily RSI is elevated, putting in a lower high so far. The 4 hour is elevated, and the short term 1 hour is on the way down. So we could have a little bit of a push higher here, but I think ultimately we're going to be seeing a pullback over the next few days, depending on what Bitcoin does. We could see some type of a breakout if Bitcoin does catch some momentum, but also at the same time, I ultimately think that that would result in some type of a sell-off and pullback, right? So that being said, that is Naka, one of the biggest performers today. When we take a look at Banter Bubbles, we do see that the entire market is benefiting from Bitcoin's push higher. Again, I just think this is just nothing goes down in a straight line, and so I think this is just a temporary pump of the market, temporary reaction to the CPI news, which is benefiting Bitcoin. Bitcoin is responding positively, and that brings the rest of the market up a little bit. Caspa up 13%, having a really big day. HBAR 4%, just about. VET 3.5%, STX 3.5%, Maker 4%. So you see a lot of these, FXS 4%. You see a lot of these moving bigger than Bitcoin, higher than Bitcoin, having a better response. But the bottom line is that I believe it's temporary until Bitcoin shows that there is a change in structure in the market structure, price structure, right? And I just don't see that that's going to happen. Bitcoin dominance going up, continuing to go higher, actually making a higher high. So that's telling you that the majority of the money is in Bitcoin. And again, Bitcoin still on the daily. Everyone was making a big deal about this on the 4 hour. Everyone was making a big deal saying that this is a real big pump, Bitcoin pumps. No, it's not. I mean, it's a little bit of a push higher for the 4 hour, but we're oversold. So that's expected. But as soon as you go to the daily, you can see that this is not much of a move higher at all. We're still in the downtrend. We're still in the red cloud. We're still putting in a lower high, right? We haven't even broken the previous small itty bitty high, right? So do I think we can go higher from here? Yes, I do, but I ultimately think we're going to be pushing up into resistance, and we just have to wait and see how Bitcoin is going to react when we hit those resistances, right? Ultimately, after this week, are we going to sell down hard in the next few, not this week, but or perhaps at the end of this week or maybe next week? Not really sure. We'll just have to wait and see. So that is the market and Bitcoin at the moment. We're seeing a nice little relief push higher just because everything was so oversold. It's good for the day traders, long-term investors. It doesn't matter to you. Now, taking a look at Aave, I will say that I did buy some Aave right in here. I bought Aave right in here. Right now, Aave's up to $54. I bought like what? I don't know, $53.90, something like that. So I bought a little bit here. And then if we drop down into the $40 area range, between 40 and 50, I'll buy again. If we drop down again into the 30 to 40 range, I'll buy again. And then that way I'll be scaling in. So I don't really care what Aave does on a short-term period. I'm looking to see what Aave will do into next year, into 2025, and that's what I'm buying for. I'm buying for long term, right? That being said, I'll be looking at some other projects. I'll be sharing with you pretty much what I'm looking at. I'm going to create a portfolio. I'll share that with you coming up, and so I appreciate the your time watching. If you feel that this information is valuable, please click like, and also if you like further videos, feel free to subscribe. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll end it here. I appreciate your time, friends. I wish you all the best in the market. We could see a breakout here for Aave if Bitcoin breaks out as well. So we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be exciting. Anyway, friends, take care. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.